Imagine that you are coming to a chic party, which you paid for yourself, but you are kicked out, calling you a beggar. Jake, a simple guy from Texas, learns that his wife and her family have been cheating on him for years by pulling hundreds of thousands of dollars. Instead of anger, he chooses a cold-blooded revenge. Legal, devastating, and will make them regret it. Ready to find out how he regained control? Jake Evans gripped the steering wheel of his Ford Focus, navigating the crowded Dallas streets toward the Starlight Hotel. His heart raced with pride. He poured $150,000 into his in-laws' 25th anniversary celebration, a gesture to honor the family he'd vowed to support. For a 35-year-old IT specialist, it was a stretch, but family meant everything to Jake. He'd spent weeks coordinating with Emily, his wife, to ensure the event would dazzle her parents, Richard and Linda, and their high society circle. Jake spotted a young server struggling with a wobbling tray and rushed over, steadying it just before it crashed. "Thanks, man," the server muttered, flashing a relieved grin. Jake waved it off, his eyes scanning the room for Emily. Guests in tailored suits and shimmering dresses mingled, their laughter sharp and performative. Golden banners proclaimed Richard and Linda, 25 years, a testament to the milestone Jake had helped make possible. He felt a surge of satisfaction. His sacrifice was worth it. He approached the reception desk, where a polished woman with a tablet managed the guest list. "Jake Evans," he said, his voice steady but eager. "Here for the Fletcher anniversary." Her fingers danced across the screen, pausing as her brow furrowed. She scrolled again, her expression tightening. "I'm sorry, sir. Your name isn't listed," she said, her tone clipped with professional regret. Jake's stomach twisted. "That's a mistake. I'm Emily's husband, Richard and Linda's son-in-law." He leaned forward, expecting a quick fix. Her eyes darted nervously, but she shook her head. "It's not here." Before Jake could argue, two security guards loomed behind him, their presence heavy. The taller one, built like a linebacker, spoke first. "You need to leave, sir. You're not authorized." Jake's pulse spiked. "This is my in-laws' party. I paid for it." His voice rose, drawing glances from nearby guests. The second guard stepped closer, his voice low and cutting. "They said to remove the uninvited. Let's go." Jake's mind reeled. Uninvited? He'd wired the final payment 2 days ago after Emily's tearful plea about her parents' financial strain. Humiliation burned as he caught Linda's voice from across the room. "Some beggar trying to crash," she said loudly, her words slicing through the crowd's murmurs. Laughter followed, sharp and mocking. Jake's face flushed, but he bit back a retort. He turned, the guards flanking him, and walked toward the exit. Each step felt heavier, the weight of betrayal sinking in. Outside, the Texas heat hit him like a slap. He slid into his car, slamming the door, and stared at the hotel's glowing facade. The party he'd funded glowed on without him. In the dim light of his dashboard, Jake opened his banking app. Notifications pinged. $50,000 for the venue, $30,000 for catering, $20,000 for entertainment. His savings had taken a hit, but he'd done it for Emily's family. Now doubt gnawed at him. Why wasn't he on the list? Why had Linda called him a beggar? He scrolled further, noticing automatic transfers he'd set up years ago. $2,000 monthly for Richard's mortgage help, $1,500 for Linda's golf club dues, even $10,000 for Kyle, Emily's brother, for a failed business venture. His generosity had been a constant, but their gratitude felt hollow. Jake's phone buzzed. Emily. He let go to voicemail. Another call, this time Richard. Voicemail again. He wasn't ready to hear their excuses. Instead, he dialed Mark, a private investigator he'd worked with on corporate audits. "Mark, I need you to dig into something," Jake said, his voice steady but cold. "Background checks on Emily, Richard, Linda, and Kyle Fletcher. Assets, debts, everything. I want the truth." Mark's gravelly voice crackled through. "Family trouble, huh? Give me 48 hours. Jake hung up, his jaw tight. The party's lights twinkled in his rearview mirror as he drove off, a plan forming. He wasn't the fool they thought he was. Jake sat in his dimly lit home office, the glow of his laptop casting shadows across the desk. The sting of being ousted from the Starlight Hotel's anniversary party lingered, but anger gave way to focus. His phone vibrated relentlessly. 17 missed calls from Emily, 9 from Richard, and a string of texts from Linda pleading for him to calm down. Jake ignored them, His attention locked on the banking dashboard open before him. Years of automatic transfers stared back. $3,000 monthly for Richard's business recovery, $2,000 for Linda's charity events, $15,000 lump sums for Kyle's entrepreneurial flops. The numbers totaled $300,000 over 5 years, a slow bleed Jake had never questioned until now. He opened an email from Mark, the private investigator, sent at 2:17 a.m. Preliminary findings. Call me. Jake dialed immediately. What V you got? He asked, his voice taut. Mark's tone was grim. The Fletchers aren't struggling. Richard's law firm cleared $800,000 last year. Linda's got $500,000 in investment accounts. Kyle owns a condo outright, paid with a $250,000 trust fund. And Emily, Mark paused. She's been siphoning $5,000 a month from your joint account into one under her maiden name. Total, $90,000 over 18 months. Jake's grip tightened on the phone. Emily, his partner of 7 years, had been building a secret stash while he funded her family's lies. Any proof they knew I was paying for the party? Jake asked. Mark chuckled darkly. Richard bragged at his golf club about milking the IT guy for the event. Got a recording from a bartender contact. Sending it now. Jake's email pinged again. The audio file loaded. Richard's voice, slurred but smug, boasting. Jake's so eager to please, he'll cover anything we call a crisis. Linda's laugh followed, adding, we just need the right sob story. The recording cut off, leaving Jake's pulse pounding. Betrayal wasn't just personal, it was orchestrated. He opened his banking app again, each transaction now wound. Richard's mortgage help had funded a paid-off mansion. Linda's charity covered lavish galas where no donations were recorded. Kyle's startups were tax write-offs, his sports car bought outright, while Jake covered his rent. Emily's transfers were the worst. Calculated, hidden, a plan to exit with his money. Jake's fingers hovered over the screen. He could confront them, demand answers, but that would give them a chance to manipulate again. Instead, he acted. One by one, he canceled every automatic payment. Richard's $3,000 monthly transfer gone. Linda's $2,000 for social dues, terminated. Kyle's pending $5,000 for another venture, blocked. The app confirmed. $150,000 in annual obligations erased in 15 minutes. Jake leaned back, a cold satisfaction settling in. His phone lit up again. Emily, now texting. We need to talk. This is a misunderstanding. He silenced it, his resolve hardening. They'd learn soon enough what he'd done. Jake called Sarah, his attorney, her number saved from a past business deal. I need you to draft something, he said, skipping pleasantries. Retroactive loan agreements for every dollar I've given the Fletchers. $300,000 total. Commercial rates, backdated interest. And a termination option to cut all ties. Sarah's voice sharpened with interest. You've got evidence of fraud? Jake forwarded Mark's files and the recording. Enough to bury them, he said. I want them to choose. Repay or lose everything. Sarah promised documents in 48 hours, her excitement palpable. This'll hit like a legal freight train. By noon, Jake's phone showed 43 missed calls. Richard's voicemails escalated from confusion to rage. The club says my account's frozen. Fix this, Jake. Linda's messages dripped with fake tears. How could you do this to us? Kyle, predictably, played the victim. You're ruining my future. Jake ignored them all, driving to a coffee shop to clear his head. Sipping black coffee, he opened Mark's full report. Bank statements, property deeds, tax filings. The Fletcher's $1.5 million net worth mocked his years of sacrifice. Emily's secret account was the final blow. Her transfers timed with his business trips, disguised as work expenses. A new text from Emily popped up. I'm coming over. We can fix this. Jake's jaw clenched. She'd arrive expecting to charm her way out, as always. But this time, he wasn't the trusting husband who'd believe her tears. He forwarded the recording to Sarah, adding a note. Include this in the evidence file. The Fletchers had played him for a fool, but the game was about to change. Jake set his coffee down, his mind racing toward the confrontation he knew was coming. They'd underestimated him for the last time. Jake's phone buzzed incessantly as he sat in his car outside the Fletcher mansion, a sprawling estate in an upscale Dallas suburb. The 67 missed calls, Emily, Richard, Linda, Kyle, painted a picture of panic, but Jake felt only resolve. Sarah, his attorney, had delivered. A stack of legal documents rested in his briefcase, each page a weapon forged from the Fletcher's deception. Retroactive loan agreements for $300,000, a termination option to sever ties, and an evidence file thick with bank records and Richard's damning recording. Jake stepped out, briefcase in hand, ready to confront the family that had played him for years. He pushed open the unlocked front door, striding through the foyer to the living room where the Fletchers sat, their voices hushed but tense. Richard hunched over his phone, muttering about a declined payment at his law firm's gala. Linda scrolled through emails, her fingers trembling as she read a notice from her golf club about unpaid dues. Kyle slouched, texting furiously, likely begging friends for a quick loan. Emily stood as Jake entered, her posture stiff, eyes darting to his briefcase. "Jake, thank God you're here," she said, her voice laced with forced relief. "We can sort this out." Jake ignored her, setting his briefcase on the coffee table with a deliberate thud. "We're done sorting things your way," he said, his tone flat but firm. He opened the case, pulling out 3 folders. "You have 3 choices." He spread the first set of documents across the table. "Sign these loan agreements. Repay the $300,000 I've given you over 5 years, plus 12% interest, backdated. That's $450,000 total, due in monthly installments." Richard's head snapped up, his jaw tight. "You can't turn gifts into loans," he growled. Jake held his gaze. "You lied about needing the money. That's fraud." He opened the second folder. "Option 2. We end all financial ties. You keep what you've taken, but every payment, mortgage, club dues, Kyle's businesses, stops now. You're on your own." Linda gasped, clutching her phone as if it could reverse the cancellations Jake had already executed. Kyle shot up, his voice shrill. "You're screwing us over." Jake didn't flinch. "You screwed yourselves when you used me as your bank while sitting on $1. $5 million. The third folder hit the table hardest. Option 3. I sue for fraud, misrepresentation, and unjust enrichment. This includes bank records, property deeds, and a recording of Richard bragging about milking me." Jake pulled out his phone, hitting play. Richard's voice filled the room. "Jake's so eager to please, he'll cover anything we call a crisis." Linda's laugh followed, chilling in its casual cruelty. The color drained from Richard's face. Linda froze, her phone slipping to the floor. Kyle stared, mouth agape. Emily's hand reached for Jake's arm, but he stepped back. "Don't," he said, his voice like steel. "You called me a beggar at a party I paid for," Jake continued, his eyes locking on Linda. "You mocked me while I funded your mansion, your cars, your fake emergencies." He turned to Emily. "And you moved $90,000 into a secret account, planning your exit while I trusted you." Emily's lips parted, but no words came. The room was silent, the weight of their exposure crushing. Jake's phone buzzed again, another text from Emily's cousin, apologizing for believing the Fletchers' lies. Word was spreading, their social facade cracking. Richard tried to rally, slamming his fist on the table. "This is blackmail. I'll have my lawyers bury you." Jake smiled coldly. "Your lawyers can't erase bank statements or recordings. My attorney, Sarah, has everything ready for court." He slid the folders forward. "Choose now, or I choose for you." Linda's voice broke as she spoke. "Jake, we're family. We didn't mean to hurt you." Her words rang hollow, and Jake shook his head. "Family doesn't lie for a decade and call it love." Emily stepped forward, her voice soft but desperate. "Jake, let's talk privately. We can fix this. Our marriage, everything." Jake met her eyes, seeing the manipulation he'd missed for years. "You fixed nothing when you hid money from me. I'm done being your ATM." For the first time in years, he felt unburdened, ready for whatever came next. Jake leaned back in his office chair, the Dallas skyline visible through the window as his phone pinged with another email from Sarah. The Fletchers had until noon to respond to the ultimatum he'd delivered yesterday, and the clock was ticking. His inbox was flooded with 92 notifications, texts, voicemails, and emails from Emily, Richard, Linda, and Kyle, ranging from pleas to threats. Jake ignored them, opening Sarah's message instead. "They're scrambling," she wrote. "Richard tried to hire a lawyer, but no one will touch this with the evidence we have. Documents ready for filing if they don't comply." Jake nodded to himself, his resolve unshaken. His phone rang, Emily again. This time he answered. "Jake, please," she said, her voice trembling with rehearsed emotion. "Let's meet. I can explain everything." Jake cut her off. "You had 7 years to explain. You chose to steal instead." He hung up, his heart steady despite her attempt to pull him back in her web. A new email arrived from Mark, the investigator. More dirt. Richard's law firm is under audit for tax evasion. Linda's charity is a front. 0 donations recorded in 3 years. Jake forwarded it to Sarah, adding fuel to the legal fire. By 11:45 a.m., a knock sounded at his door. He opened it to find Kyle, disheveled and pacing, his usual arrogance replaced by desperation. "You're killing us, man," Kyle blurted, stepping inside uninvited. "The bank froze my accounts because you pulled your guarantees. I can't pay my car loan." Jake crossed his arms. "You mean the car you bought with trust fund money while I funded your fake startups?" Kyle's eyes widened, caught off guard. "That's not. Look, just give us a break." Jake pointed to the door. "Sign the agreements or face the lawsuit." "Out." Kyle left, muttering curses, his bravado crumbling. At noon, Sarah called. They chose option 2, complete financial separation, she said, her voice brimming with satisfaction. "They keep what they took, but you're done with them. Papers are signed." Jake exhaled, a weight lifting. The Fletchers' decision was a surrender. They knew a lawsuit would expose their lies to their elite circle. Sarah continued. "Richard's firm is in chaos. The audit news leaked. Linda's been dropped from her club's board. Kyle's selling his condo to cover debts." Jake smiled faintly. Their empire was cracking, and he hadn't lifted a finger beyond cutting their access to his money. His phone buzzed with a text from Emily's cousin, Sarah Jane. "I'm so sorry, Jake. I didn't know they were lying to you." She wasn't alone. Calls flooded in from distant relatives and mutual friends, shocked by the Fletchers' deception. A former colleague of Richard's revealed he'd suspected their emergencies were scams but stayed silent to avoid drama. The truth was spreading like wildfire, torching the Fletchers' carefully curated image. Jake didn't respond to the messages. He didn't need their pity. He needed his life back. Emily showed up at his house that evening, her car parked crookedly in the driveway. She knocked, her voice soft through the door. "Jake, I'm not leaving until we talk." He opened it, keeping his expression neutral. "You have 5 minutes." She stepped inside, her hands wringing. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I was scared, okay? I moved money to feel secure, not to hurt you." Jake held up a hand. "You planned to leave me with $90,000 of our money while I paid for your family's lies. That's not fear, that's betrayal." Her eyes welled up, but Jake felt nothing. Her tears had lost their power. "I'll make it right," Emily said, stepping closer. "We can rebuild." Jake shook his head, handing her divorce papers he'd printed that morning. "Sign these and go. You're free to live off your secret count." Her hand shook as she took the papers, her face crumpling. "You're throwing away our marriage." Jake's voice was calm but firm. "You threw it away when you chose money over trust." She left without signing, the papers clutched to her chest, her car peeling out of the driveway. By night, Jake sat at his desk, reviewing his finances. Without the Fletcher's drain, $150,000 annually, he paid off his car loan and boosted his IT business's budget. A new client contract had come through, promising growth he'd delayed for years. The Fletcher's world was unraveling, but Jake's was just beginning. He opened a travel app, booking a flight to Costa Rica. Freedom wasn't just financial, it was the chance to live for himself, and he was ready to start. Jake sat in an open-air cafe in Miami's South Beach, the ocean breeze carrying the scent of salt and freedom. 3 months had passed since he'd cut the Fletchers off, and his life felt like his own again. His phone, once a battlefield of their desperate calls, was quiet. Only a new email from Sarah, his attorney, broke the calm. "Fletcher's fallout update," it read. Jake sipped his espresso, opening the message with curiosity but no urgency. He'd already won his battle. This was just the aftermath. Sarah's email detailed the Fletchers' unraveling. Richard's law firm, hit by the tax evasion audit, lost 2 major clients, forcing him to sell his vacation condo in Aspen to cover legal fees. Linda's social circle had shunned her after her charity was exposed as a sham. She'd resigned from every board, her name now a whisper of scandal. Kyle, unable to maintain his lifestyle without Jake's subsidies, had listed his sports car for sale and taken a job as a real estate agent. A humbling shift for a self-proclaimed entrepreneur. Emily had moved into a small apartment, her secret $90,000 account dwindling under legal pressure from Jake's divorce filing. "They're feeling the consequences," Sarah wrote. "Your case set a precedent." Jake closed the email, his mind drifting to the past 3 months. With the $150,000 annual drain gone, he'd cleared his student loans and invested in his IT startup, landing a contract with a tech firm in Austin. His bank account, once a revolving door for the Fletchers' demands, now held a surplus he'd used to book this Miami trip, a prelude to a month-long adventure in Costa Rica. He'd traded their chaos for his own choices, and the clarity was exhilarating. His phone buzzed with a text from Sarah Jane, Emily's cousin, who'd become an unexpected ally. Heard Richard tried to refinance his house, denied. No one trusts their credit now. Jake didn't reply. The Fletcher's struggles no longer pulled at him. Another message arrived, this time from a former friend of Linda's. "I had no idea they used you like that. You deserve better." The apologies had poured in over weeks, relatives, colleagues, even Richard's old law partner, all shocked by the depth of the Fletcher's deception. Jake let them go unanswered. Their regret couldn't undo the years he'd lost. A notification popped up. His divorce was finalized. Emily had signed the papers, relinquishing any claim to his assets. The house, the business, his future, all his. Jake felt no triumph, only relief. He'd loved Emily once, but her betrayal had burned that away, leaving space for something new. He opened his laptop, checking his startup's latest analytics. User engagement had doubled since his marketing push. The business he neglected while funding the Fletchers was thriving, a testament to what he could build when his resources were his own. A memory surfaced, the night at the Starlight Hotel, when Linda's beggar jab had cut deep. Now, it felt like a distant echo. Jake had turned their insult into his liberation. He paid his cafe bill, leaving a generous tip, and walked toward the beach, the sun warm on his shoulders. His phone rang, Richard for the first time in weeks. Jake let it go to voicemail, curious enough to listen later. "Jake, we're sorry." Richard's voice rasped, strained by defeat. "Can we talk? Maybe work something out?" Jake deleted it, his decision final. Apologies couldn't rewrite their choices. He booked his Costa Rica flight, confirming a stay at a coastal villa. The trip wasn't about escape. It was about claiming the life he'd postponed. As he walked along the shoreline, waves crashing softly, Jake reflected on the lesson he'd learned. Trust is earned, not owed. The Fletchers had taken his generosity, twisted it into a tool, but they'd also taught him his own strength. He dismantled their scheme legally, fairly, leaving them to face the world without his safety net. A final email arrived from Sarah, their social circles talking. "You're the guy who stood up to the Fletchers and won." Jake smiled, pocketing his phone. He wasn't a hero or a victim, just a man who'd taken back his life. Raising his espresso to the horizon, he said softly, "Truth sets you free." The ocean stretched endless before him, and for the first time in years, so did his future.